What if I told you a single blog post could vaporize billions of dollars from a company's value? Just poof in a single day. Well, that's not a hypothetical. It's exactly what just happened to IBM, one of the original titans of the tech world. So let's dive into this wild story of how a brand new AI sparked a war over some very, very old code. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the stock market carnage. Then, we'll dig into the ancient code at the heart of all this. After that, we'll meet the AI game changer, figure out exactly why IBM got hit so hard, and finally, talk about the bigger AI fear factor that's gripping the entire industry. All right, first up, the damage. And I'm not kidding, this was a truly brutal day on Wall Street for a company that's been around for over a century. On February 23, 2026, IBM's stock just cratered, dropping 13.2% in one session. Now, to give you some context, that was its biggest single-day loss in more than 25 years, a total shock to the system. And look, this wasn't just some freak one-day event. The pain was real and it was spreading. For the month of February, the stock was down almost 27%. Since the start of the year, down 24%. This was a fast, painful slide, and believe it or not, it all kicked off because of one announcement. So that's the big question, right? What on earth could rattle a 100-year-old giant like IBM so badly? Well, the answer is surprisingly old. It's not some futuristic quantum computer or a new chip. It's about a programming language that's literally from the 1950s. Which brings us to part two. To really get what's going on, we have to talk about this unsung and very, very old hero of the global economy, a language called COBOL. Get this, COBOL was created way back in 1959. That's the same year the first Barbie doll hit the shelves. By the 80s, it was the absolute king of business computing. And today, right now, it's still quietly powering some of the most critical systems on the entire planet. So what is it exactly? Well, a great way to think about it is it's like the Latin of the financial world. It's ancient, sure, but it's the foundation that so much of our modern world is built on. It was made to process huge amounts of business data, which is why banks and governments fell in love with it, running it on their giant, super reliable computers we call mainframes. And its hidden dominance today is just mind-blowing. An estimated 95% of all ATM transactions depend on COBOL. Yeah, every time you pull cash from a machine, chances are you're talking to a system built on code that's older than your parents. And all this old code creates this huge, huge problem that people in tech call technical debt. It's this idea that by sticking with the easy solution for now, like not upgrading your COBOL, you're basically taking out a loan that comes with massive future costs in maintenance and complexity. It's a debt that gets harder and harder to pay off, especially since the number of people who even know COBOL is shrinking every single year. And this is where the story gets really interesting. Into this world of creaky old code and mounting technical debt steps a brand new player, the AI company Anthropic. This one sentence right here is what set Wall Street on fire. In their blog post, Anthropic basically said, hey, you know how modernizing old systems was always too expensive? How it costs more to figure out the old code than to just start over? Well, they said AI completely flips that equation on its head. So their new AI tool, Claude Code, promises to do what humans thought was almost impossible. It can automatically untangle millions of lines of this ancient code, map it out, document it, and even spot risks that would take a team of people months or even years to find. Essentially, it promises to pay down all that technical debt at lightning speed. Okay, so that brings us to the multi-billion-dollar question. Why did this news from a smallish AI company send a behemoth like IBM into a total tailspin? Because right here, you can see the head-on collision. On one side, you've got Anthropic promising to fix these old code bases in months, not decades, and automate the work of what they called armies of consultants. And on the other side, you have IBM, a company whose fortress is built on selling the mainframes that run all that COBOL, and then selling those super lucrative consulting services to manage all its complexity. Anthropic's promise wasn't just a new product, it was a direct missile aimed at a core part of IBM's entire business. And we're not talking about some dusty, forgotten corner of their business. No way. IBM's Z mainframe business, the hardware that all this COBOL runs on, was absolutely crushing it. It had just posted 48% growth, hitting its best revenue numbers in 20 years. So the market saw a direct threat to a part of IBM's business that was on fire. But hold on.
Is it really that simple? Is IBM just a sitting duck? Well, not exactly. Let's look at the other side of this and the bigger fear that's really driving all of this.
So naturally, IBM fired back. Their chief commercial officer, Rob Thomas, basically argued that just translating the code completely misses the point. He said modernizing is about way more than that. It's about data, security, how the apps scale, things you can't just fix with an AI translator. The code, he said, is just the tip of the iceberg. And, it wasn't just IBM saying this. Wall Street analysts started chiming in too. Brent Thill from Jefferies made a great point. Sure, AI might be able to translate the language, but it can't replace the hardware, the mainframe itself, which is still the best in the world at reliably processing huge volumes of transactions. He thought the market completely overreacted. But here's the kicker, the real twist in all of this. IBM wasn't asleep at the wheel, not even close. In fact, they've been using their own powerful AI, Watson X, to solve this exact problem for over 2 years. Their tool is already in production, turning old COBOL into modern Java, and it runs right on their mainframes. They argue this gives them a massive, built-in advantage over any outsider. So when you step back, what this whole episode really shows us is something bigger about the market right now. We're in this incredibly jumpy, self-first and ask questions later environment, especially with AI. The technology is so new and so powerful that any hint of disruption, whether it's real or just perceived, can cause these wild swings as everyone tries to guess what's coming next.
The story really isn't just about IBM, and it's not just about COBOL. It leaves us with this huge, kind of scary question. If a tech giant with its own world-class AI can get hammered this badly by a competitor's blog post, who's next? It's a pretty clear warning that in the age of AI, nobody's business is truly safe.